Hey guys, right here. So today I'm going to be doing my version of the Walking Dead Season 10 finale that I hope to see later this year. So yeah, this is called A Certain Doom. I'm going to follow the actual titles of the episodes. I'm going to be doing a Season 11. I don't know when I'm going to release it, because I don't know how far away Season 11 is. But in between the time of Season 10 and Season 11, I'm going to be doing a Game of Thrones Season 8 rewrite. So I'm going to be writing my version of what I wanted to see in Season 8, and then I'll move on to Season 11, so that way it's not bam, 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 we're on Season 12 before Season 11 even comes out. But anyways, yeah, so let me know down below what other things you'd like me to write, because I love writing. But yeah, so let's get right into this. So, The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 16, A Certain Doom. I'm also going to stick to the titles of the episode. So we open with a one-shot of everyone getting ready. Jerry kissing his wife and kids, Gabriel hugging Rosita, grabbing a shotgun and leaving, Negan making a new Lucille. Lydia is sitting next to him. She has her stick. She stands up and looks out the window at the walkers, then at Negan. You want to be a hero, huh? The dead are right there. Try drawing them away. See how far you get. So far to make two knives can slice me in two right as I walk my butt through the door? No, thank you. What I will do is protect you and make sure none of those skin jobs hurt you. The anger you have because of what I did that for you. Her last wish was to kill you and have you walk with her. I stopped that. What do you mean? After she went all crazy psycho on Hilltop, she wasn't satisfied and wanted you next. That's when I knew what I had to do, what I was sent there to do. Did you not go there looking to get her head? Did you go there to make a new friend, to join them? I couldn't do it right when I got there. I had to wait. Negan stands up. They are locking eyes and Lydia looks away, not being able to look at him. I went there because I knew what had to be done. You'd been through enough. You didn't deserve the crap everyone was putting you through. You're saying you went there for me? That you killed her for me? How can you tell me to let it out that she was my mom, but you killed her for me? I never asked you to do that. A tear falls down Lydia's face. Negan wipes it away and puts his hand on her shoulder. Everyone grieves. You always hate me for it, but I don't hate you for it. I was mad because I thought you did it for them, for Carol. Are you referring to them as others that you are with, or them as a group of people that you are not a part of? Because I did it for them, all of these people, including you. We move to preparation. Luke hands Magna 3 spears, then turns to Jules and kisses her on the cheek. She grabs his mouth and puts it on hers. Magna gives the spears to Cindy, who returns to Rachel and hands them to her. Put the dog in the room with the kids. Rachel says, got it. RJ and Gracie are standing in the corner looking around. Cindy runs over and grabs their hands. Cindy says, follow Rachel to the safety room. Cindy hands the kids to Rachel. Outside, Daryl, Carol, Kelly, and Judith are running back. Daryl kills 2 walkers, then Carol stabs one. Kelly slingshots one, and Judith slices one to the ground. They make it up to the hospital, then Kelly opens the door and they go inside. Another one grabs Judith, but she stabs it up through the head, and Daryl grabs her and throws her to Carol, then kicks a walker back and then closes the door. Back up on the main floor of the hospital. Diane runs by and grabs some arrows. Gabriel looks out the window. Gabriel says 50 feet till they get here. Jerry is at the room with all the kids. He says bye to his family one more time and he shuts the door. Then walks over to the windows. Diane, Jerry, Rachel, and Gabriel are at the windows with bow and arrows. The windows are open. They start shooting arrows out of the windows at the walkers. Daryl, Carol, Judith, and Kelly come barging through the doors. Kelly says, holy crap. Daryl turns to Judith and puts a hand on her shoulder. Daryl says, go with the other kids. Judith says, no, I want to help. Daryl says, now. Judith goes off into the other room. To Aaron and Alden. Aaron and Alden are still surrounded by the Whisperers. The Whisperer with the gun gets up closer to them and nods. One Whisperer notices and moves forward. The Whisperer with the gun shoots 3 other ones. Then the Whisperer with the gun joins Aaron and Alden in a circle as they are all surrounded. The Whisperer fires and then drops the gun because it is out of ammo. The Whisperer pulls out a slingshot. Aaron and Alden slice a few down. Now there's one left. The Whisperer takes a slingshot and shoots the last one to the ground. Aaron runs over to her. Aaron says, who are you? The Whisperer takes the mask off. It's Connie. Aaron opens his mouth in disbelief. He hugs Connie, then signs, we gotta go. Alden says, the gunfire's drawing them. Come on. They run off. Virgil is rowing up to shore. He gets out as a mucky walker that is sunken into the dirt grabs at him. He has his orange backpack. He pulls out a knife and stabs it a little awkwardly as he isn't very experienced. We see the Oceanside sign. He looks around and sees that no one is there. He walks out of Oceanside, going somewhere. Commonwealth. Our group is riding... This is the Commonwealth group, not actually Commonwealth. So, like, Ezekiel, Princess, Yumiko, and Eugene. Our group is riding to meet Stephanie. They are pedaling very hard. Princess hits a pothole. Crap. How much longer? Ezekiel says. Eugene says, judging by our speed at approximately 12 mph. We should make it there by the sun going down, which is a little behind schedule, but if we didn't squander time with all that mumbo-jumbo, we could be 24 miles further. Yeah, my bad. We can do it, Yumiko says, no second guessing. Princess says, what if we bumped it up to 13 miles per hour? Princess chuckles as Eugene glares. Princess says, sorry, bad joke. Back at the hospital, everyone is sitting on the ground. Kelly says, why are we sitting here? They're going to get up here to us. Daryl says, they can't get up here. Carol jumps in and says, they have him. He can get up here, referring to Beta. Magna says, eventually they will. We can't stop that. Negan says, if that big twisted beast gets up here. Daryl interrupts. Stop it. No one's getting up here. Luke chimes in and says, are we just waiting for them to pass through? Magna says, all they have to do is knock down the barricades. He can do that. Rosita says, we did the barricades the best we could with what we had and the time we had. Gabriel says, she's right. We can't blame ourselves. He wasn't supposed to find us, but he did. Dog comes over and sits down next to Daryl. Rosita is looking out the window. We see the dead pushing against the front doors. Jerry says, the doors are starting to cave in a little. Diane says, the doors are only going to get more pressure. If they get in, we are trapped up here. Cindy says, how do they even know we are here? Luke says, doesn't matter. They are here. Nothing we can do. Rosita says, crap, they're in. Daryl hops up along with everyone else. Jerry says, if we can distract them away from the entrance, Les will follow. Gabriel says, did Beta get through, or is he still out there? Lydia says, he won't come in. He will let the walkers and the others do their job and leave us trapped. Jerry says, we got to stop the flow of them coming in. It's the only way. Jerry looks up. Jerry says, I got an idea. Jerry runs over to the window and he opens it. He steps out onto a platform that is a little unstable, mushy, and rotting. He ties his foot to a pipe and steps out. He starts banging his axe on the wall. Jerry yells, hey, over here. Some of the dead start turning towards him. Jerry slips a little. Nabila runs over to the window with the children. She starts pounding on the window, mouthing, what are you doing? Get back inside. A knife comes up through the platform, cutting the ceiling and weakening it. It's Beta. Then Jerry falls through the platform. Daryl yells, no. Daryl reaches out to catch him by his hand, but misses. Jerry is hanging upside down and Beta is standing there. He stabs him in the stomach and slices him as his guts fall out. Beta stands over him as he dangles upside down and the dead start to feast on him. Nabila starts screaming through the window and crying. She screams, my baby. She continues to cry. Daryl shuts the window. We hear someone yell Daryl back to where they were sitting. Daryl runs back to the group. Kelly says, more are coming in. Rosita says, right there. That one is a window. That one is a whisper. He's coming inside. She points out the window and the rest look. Negan says, well, the walkers are coming up and I'm not sitting here. Daryl says, no crap. But yeah, he wouldn't actually say no crap, but I'm trying to keep this PG. Carol says, we use the guts, like we do. Like we always do. Daryl says, Carol, Negan, follow me. Carol and Negan follow him. They go back to where Jerry died. Hold my feet, I gotta get one, and bring it up. We need at least 5, Carol says. Daryl gets to his knees and leans out the window. He grabs his knife. Carol and Negan grab his feet and lower him down a little. He looks for Beta, but he is gone. Another whisperer swipes at him, and Daryl stabs him in the neck, then lifts the whisperer up and sets him on the balcony. Daryl says, someone can use the mask. Daryl stabs another walker and pulls him up. Back with the others, Gabriel, Rosita, Magna, Diane, and Luke are all standing at the door. The dead make it to the door and are starting to push. Rosita says, should hold for a few minutes. Gabriel says, long enough for them to get the dead. Luke says, I'll get the kids. Luke walks over and gets Nabila, Judith, and all the other kids as he helps up Nabila, who is crying with her sons in her lap. Luke says, come on, we got to go. Daryl, Carol, and Negan come around the corner with a few walkers and a whisperer mask. Daryl says, someone can use the mask. The rest use the dead. Carol picks up the mask and gives it to Kelly. Carol says, if they recognize us, you need to blend in. Kelly says, thank you. Carol says, superpower. Kelly takes the mask and Daryl starts cutting the walkers up, taking the guts out and starts putting them on Judith. Luke says, vomit warning. We go outside the barricaded doors and see the walkers. They keep pushing and finally break through as our characters open the door, all covered in guts, and they join the dead in small groups. The dead walk through and fill the hallway. A whisperer notices them and swings at Daryl, and he stabs her, and she falls, and the dead eat her. Daryl is leading the way, holding Judith's hand. Judith is holding Negan's hand. Negan is holding RJ's, and RJ is holding Carol's hand. Kelly, Luke, Jules, Magna, and Lydia are together in a group. Rosita, Gabriel, Nabila, and the kids are together in a group. Cindy, Rachel, Beatrice, and Scott are in a group walking together through the dead. Daryl's group is walking down the stairs. All the groups make it down the steps, and on the lower level, Beta is in the distance near the exit. The group continues towards him as they are passing. Beta sees the kids and realizes our group is escaping. He lunges at Judith and Carol, he lunges at RJ and Carol kicks him in between the legs. He falls a little, then gets up to go at Carol. Negan smacks him with Lucille. Beta looks at him. You betrayed the Alpha, Beta says. Negan says, thought you were the Alpha now. Beta pulls his knife and swings. Daryl pulls his knife and goes to help, but Negan stops him. Negan yells, get out of here. Negan kicks Beta in the stomach and hits him again with Lucille. Beta punches Negan 3 times and hits him in the gut. Negan coughs and grabs his stomach. Then Beta hits him over the back with Lucille multiple times. Then Lucille 3.0 shatters on Beta's back. Crap, Negan says. Beta grabs Negan's foot and Negan falls to the ground. Then Beta is about to stab Negan, but Daryl shoots him in the shoulder with an arrow. Beta runs into the distance through the dead and escapes. The train tracks at night with Ezekiel, Princess, Yumiko, and Eugene. Our group stops at the railroad tracks. Ezekiel, we made it. Yumiko, but there's no one here. Princess, how many people are there supposed to be? A door opens from one of the train cars, and a bunch of soldiers come rushing out and circling them. They get in formation with big guns and armor. A woman walks up through them in the middle up to our characters. It's Maggie. Ezekiel says, Maggie? Ezekiel walks towards her. A man in orange armor extends his arm in front of her to shield her. Maggie says, it's okay, Mercer. Mercer says, apologies. Maggie walks forward. Hi, Ezekiel. Eugene, I haven't met these two. Eugene says, this is Yumiko and Princess. Maggie nods and turns back to Eugene and Ezekiel. Maggie says, I heard Pamela Milton mention a Eugene, and I wondered, so I came along to see if it was you. Eugene says, would there happen to be a Stephanie present? Maggie says the governor had her stay back for safety purposes. Maggie, looking like a different person, turns to Ezekiel. Maggie says, anything I should know about back home? Is everyone okay? Safe? Ezekiel says, Maggie, I don't really know how to put this. We met a group called the Whisperers. Carol sent letters, but I assume you haven't gotten them. Jesus, Enid, Tara, Tammy, Earl, Sadiq, Henry. They are all dead. Maggie says, what? Yumiko chimes in. These people, they walk around in the walker's skin with the dead. They killed them and made them examples as a border to separate her land from ours. They destroyed Hilltop. Ezekiel says the group was run by a woman who called herself Alpha. Maggie says, called? You killed her? Eugene says, Negan killed her. Maggie says he got out of his cell. Ezekiel says, to help us and kill her. Maggie turns to the soldiers. Maggie says, I need to go back to my people and see them. Make sure everything is okay. Ezekiel says, the soldiers can come. I see you have horses you can ride back and we will follow. We have bikes a few miles back. Then we can journey back. Maggie turns again to the soldiers. She says, you 3, go back and tell Governor Milton that I have to go with these people. The rest of you are coming with me, referring to the soldiers. Maggie goes and gets on her horse. The rest of the soldiers get on theirs. Leaving soldier says, it's close enough. We can walk. The rest of you 4 can take our horses back with them. Princess, since there's only 3, Princess offers to ride a bike. Yumiko says, you can share a horse with me. Princess says, sweet, I can't wait to see what your place looks like. All of our people and soldiers start riding back home to Alexandria as a few tears run down Maggie's face, finding about her fallen friends. Also, this night is the night before where our characters are at right now. So the characters that are trapped in the walkers, this is the day after, or the next day after this night, to where they meet Maggie again. Back at the hospital, our group is still moving between the thousands of walkers. One growls at RJ and his lip quivers. Negan squeezes his hand tighter, making him feel safer. They advance to the dead more. Some are starting to get closer. Some are smelling their scents. One advances at Magna. She slowly stabs it and lets it fall. They keep moving through the horde, only to realize that there are whispers surrounding them all, holding hands connected, blocking them from escaping. Daryl lets go of Judith and draws his knives. The rest of the group start to kill the walkers between them, leaving a barrier of whispers between them and the walkers and escaping. So basically, our group is just there, and there's a circle of whisperers all connecting, holding hands, trapping them in as the walkers are outside of them. So they are completely trapped. The whisperers charge them. One stabs Jules. Luke pulls her back and puts her in the middle of the group and stabs the whisperer in the throat. One goes to stab Lydia, but she knocks it out with her stick. Whisperer number 1 says, Lydia, you are alive? Another whisperer says, the Alpha lied to us. The whisperer goes at her to kill her. Lydia impales one with her stick, then the other one falls to the ground after getting hit in the head by a stone. Kelly takes her mask off, saving Lydia. Scott pulls a revolver out from beneath his poncho. He looks around distinctly, then a whisperer looks at him. The whisperer chucks a knife at him and hits him in the throat. Right before it hits him, he fires a shot and kills the Whisperer that has just killed him. Drawing all the remaining walkers, a few more Whisperers come at our group. The rest of the dead follow, leaving our group surrounded. Their only choice is to fight. Daryl kills a few. Carol and Negan too. Negan stabs him with the broken end of Lucille. A Whisperer jumps over the crowd of dead and stabs Beatrice, making her fall to the ground and get eaten. Everyone is killing the dead, and then out of nowhere, we hear a familiar voice. It's Maggie. She yells, get down. Gunshot after gunshot goes off and is taking out a good chunk of the dead and some Whisperers. Maggie and the soldiers have brought with them Aaron, Alden, and Connie after running into them in the woods. That's how she found our group, because Aaron Alden knew that our group was at this hospital and probably need help. Ezekiel comes riding along on his horse and swipes a few down. Ezekiel starts coughing. Yumiko is shooting arrows off her horse. Princess jumps off and starts slicing multiple walkers to the ground with her spear. Then a few get too close and she gets out her machine gun and starts shredding through them as they fall. Ezekiel slices another with his sword. The horse that he is riding rides into a bunch of dead, and Ezekiel flips off. He lands in the middle of a pile of walkers as Carol runs to try to help. Ezekiel, get out of there, she says. Ezekiel kills two more, and the coughing takes over him. Carol pushes some of the dead away and gets in the circle. They are both surrounded now. Ezekiel grabs Carol. Get out of here, now. Ezekiel kicks some of the dead over and pushes Carol through, and a walker comes right at him, and he slices it to the ground. And then Daryl shoots one with his crossbow. Then the soldiers shoot the rest of the ground, and Ezekiel escapes. Originally, I was actually going to kill him off here, but I figured that there was so much story that he has left, honestly, because they just set up his cancer arc, that there was no point in actually killing him. Just a little thing I wanted to say. Daryl kills one more walker, then Maggie gets off her horse. Kelly, Magna, and Luke run over to Connie and hug her. Negan says, crap, after seeing Maggie. Maggie says, is everyone okay? Carol says, not everyone. Maggie says, lead the rest away, Mercer. The ocean is that way. Mercer says, come on. Mercer blows a horn and the dead follow. Maggie hugs Carol, Daryl, Rosita, Gabriel, Cindy, and Diane. Maggie says, where is Michonne? Judith says, she went to help someone. Maggie turns and looks down at Judith as if she had just meeting her for the first time. Maggie says, Judith? Judith says, hi, I'm Maggie. Judith hugs Maggie's leg, and Maggie hugs back. Maggie also says, are they all dead? The Whisperers? Daryl says, there's one left. Virgil walks out, and Daryl puts his crossbow up, and the few soldiers still there raise their guns. Virgil says, please, I'm not here to hurt anyone. I heard all the noise and came running. Judith says, that's Virgil. Put the weapons down. He was helping my mom. And Daryl says, you're not helping her anymore? Where is she? Virgil says, she went to find a man she knew. Rick, I think? Carol says, what? The whole group turns to look at Virgil in disbelief. Judith chimes in. She found things that belonged to him on this island. On this boat, my bad. And went to look for him. But she isn't sure if he's alive. Negan says, holy crap. A-hole doesn't die. Maggie glares at him. Maggie says, take me to Alexandria. Now this is the journey back to Alexandria. We have a conversation between Daryl and Connie. Daryl signs and says, I thought you were gone. Connie signs, nope, I'm still here. Daryl signs and says, how did you get out? Connie signs, Magna, I wouldn't have without her. Daryl smiles at her as they are walking down the road back to Alexandria, holding hands. Negan and Maggie. Maggie rides up next to Negan as he is walking. And she definitely is something I just want to add. This isn't actually written in my thing that I typed or whatever, but she is riding up to him on her horse, way higher than him. She definitely feels like she has a lot more power right now because she is so much higher up than him, and he's walking and she's actually riding a horse. Maggie says, was that a play? Oh no, sorry, my bad. So Maggie rides up to Negan as he is walking. Maggie says, thought you wanted to die. Negan replies with, had a change of heart. Because remember the last time they saw each other, Negan said he wanted to die. And Maggie says, was that a play so I wouldn't kill you? You should still be in that cell. Negan says, they let me out. I have proved myself. Maggie says, not to me. So you go back in there as soon as we get back. Carol chimes in and says, no. I told him if he did what I asked, he could have my respect. That he could be free. Maggie says, you weren't there. You didn't see him kill Glenn. Carol says, but I knew Glenn. I didn't need to see him die for it to hurt me. I understand what you lost, but it was 8 years ago. Maggie glares at Carol and Negan, then rides forward more. Yumiko and Magna. Magnus is looking at Princess and says, "Is she okay?" Yumiko says, "Princess? Yeah, a little off the walls, but she's working on her social skills. How are you?" Magnus says, "Tired, but we can rest now." Yumiko says, "We can." This is sort of a hint at them maybe getting back together in my season 11 rewrite. Who knows? Anyways, Aaron and Maggie. Aaron walks up next to Maggie and says, "Hey, Maggie." Maggie says, "Aaron." Aaron puts a hand on her knee as she is elevated on her horse. Aaron says, "At first, I didn't want Negan out either. I wanted to kill him, but he showed me that we took what was his from him. After killing dozens of his people we didn't even know in their sleep." Maggie says, "He didn't care about them. He never did. He doesn't care about any of us. He only respects Rick because he let him live. But Rick's not around right now." Aaron says, "Maggie, you need to let this go." Maggie says, "Have you let Eric go?" Aaron says, "Yes and no. I don't mean forget Glenn, but Negan is different. He isn't who he was that night. Just don't do something you'll regret." Maggie says, like Carol said, "It's been 8 years and I still want him dead. I don't think I will regret it at all." My dog just barked. Sorry about that. My dog completely interrupted me. So Maggie says, "I think I already read this, but like Carol said, it's been 8 years and I still want him dead. I don't think I'll regret it at all." They make it back to Alexandria. There are 5 guards sitting around a carriage. Maggie rides up to it. Maggie says, "Herschel?" A little boy of 7 years old steps out. Herschel Jr. says, "Hey, Mama." Maggie gets off her horse and goes to Herschel and picks him up. Herschel's looking at everyone coming in. Princess says, "Holy crap, this place is magnificent." Maggie walks away with Herschel. They are standing in front of the wall with the names, which we haven't seen since season 6. And I'm talking about all the wall that they wrote all the names of the characters that are lost. So I just wanted to add that in because I really missed that. I thought that was a really cool touch that Scott Gimple added, and then he sort of forgot about it, and we haven't seen it in like 4 years. But anyways, she looks at Glenn's name on the wall. Daryl walks up to behind her. Maggie says, "You with them too now about Negan?" Daryl says, He deserves your hatred, but I am." Herschel says, "He killed my dad?" Asking. And his lip quivers as he wants to cry. Maggie says, "It's okay, baby. He can't hurt us anymore." Maggie looks at Daryl. So, as we know in the comics as well, I just want to add this in, is Maggie is not a very good parent because she spoils the crap out of her kid. And, I don't know, there's just her child turned out to be a real a-hole in the comics. And almost sort of like a villain in the last issue. So I wanted to sort of set that up in my version. Anyways, so Maggie looks at Daryl. Maggie says, "Guess it was good I wasn't here to see him roaming free." Daryl says, "Where were you?" Maggie says, "With Georgie. Didn't you know that?" Daryl says, "I mean, where? Were you at the place Eugene was talking to?" Maggie says, "I was. It's called the Commonwealth." Daryl says, "How long are you going to stay?" Maggie says, "Just came to help you guys, but I don't want to leave again. Not now, after all this with Hilltop and Jesus, Tara, Enid, everyone. I need to help rebuild." Daryl says, "It's just Alexandria and Oceanside right now. We don't have the stuff to rebuild the Hilltop." Maggie says, "I do. The place I was at does. They would love to help. That's what they do. They help rebuild and succeed." Daryl says, "Would they allow us to come?" Maggie says, "As long as you aren't a threat." Daryl says, "When can we leave?" And Maggie says, "Tomorrow. After my men get back from leading the dead away, we rest and we leave first thing." Maggie walks away. Daryl watches and then turns and looks back at the wall at Glenn's name. Nighttime. Maggie and Mercer. Maggie's at the gate and Mercer and his men ride into Alexandria. Mercer gets off his horse. Maggie says, "Come with me. You can spend the night in my house." Mercer says, "Thank you, Maggie." Maggie enters her house and Mercer follows. Mercer looks around at the house. Mercer says, "This place is nice. I would love to live here." Maggie says, "I told you the story about my husband and his killer? The man in the leather jacket, that's his killer." Mercer says, "You said you killed him." Maggie says, "No, that's just what I tell people to make myself feel better. But I'm not allowed." Mercer says, "So why is he still alive if he killed your people?" Maggie says, "Because the former leader of this place kept him alive as a symbol of peace for his son that passed. He couldn't let his son go. And when they believed the man died, they wouldn't go against his memory. I couldn't either, but now the man seems to have survived. So we will wait. Not tomorrow, but eventually. And I need you to do it for me." Mercer says, "Of course." Maggie says, "Thank you." And Mercer nods to Maggie, Daryl, and Carol. Daryl walks up to Carol. Carol is sitting on the porch with a cigarette. Daryl says, "What are you doing?" Carol says, "Not doing anything." Daryl says, "Why didn't you tell me about Negan?" Carol replies, "I'm sorry about that. I was going to, and then the cave happened and everyone was mad at me. I screwed everything else up and I thought it would make things worse." Daryl says, "Thank you." Carol says, for what? Daryl says, for what you did. When we were first getting out of the cave and that explosion went off, it's like I felt the punch in my gut. And that's when I realized what we talked about in the woods about Connie wasn't bullcrap. I hate that it took that much to happen for me to realize it. But for me to realize that I liked her. But if it didn't, I might not have. Carol starts crying a little bit after his forgiveness. Carol says, what if she didn't make it? Then it would have been my fault and you couldn't have ever told her. Daryl says, things happen, bad things. I think about Glenn, how I felt when he died, like it was my fault. Then I realized that's how you felt, and you didn't need me to make you feel worse. Carol wipes away her tears and hugs Daryl, and he hugs her back. Ezekiel and Nabila. Nabila is sitting on the porch. Ezekiel walks up to her and sits down on the porch. Ezekiel says, Nabila, I know this is hard. It is for me. Nabila says, I'm just mad about them. Nabila turns and looks at her kid inside playing on the ground. Another child without a father. They didn't deserve this. Ezekiel says, Jerry, he was my best friend. I don't even know what life will be like without him. Nabila says, he is still with us, with you and me and them. Every single person here, because he made an impact. Ezekiel says, if you ever need anything, you or them, you don't even hesitate to call me. I'll come running. Ezekiel stands up and puts a hand on Nabila's shoulder, then kisses her forehead and walks away. We got back to Beta. Beta is walking with a few dead, then kills them all, not caring about his ways anymore. As he gets back to where he was staying previously with Alpha's head and where he gathered the horde, he walks into the room and sits down and pulls the arrow out of his shoulder. Beta grabs some vodka on the table and pours it on his wound. He walks over and grabs his record. He looks at it and grabs a bag. He puts the record into his bag and then he goes to walk away but stops and turns around and goes to a trunk. He opens it and Alpha's half-skinned head is in there. He picks it up and kisses it, then strokes her head and then puts it in his bag and leaves the place he was at and walks off down the road. Now it's morning. Daryl is in his kitchen and he is making a pancake. Lydia comes over and stares and sits at the table. Daryl comes over and puts a pancake down in front of her on the table. Lydia says, I'm not hungry. Daryl says, you need to eat. Long trip ahead. Lydia says, I'm not going. Daryl asks, why not? Lydia says, just don't feel like it. Daryl says, we may be gone for a week or two. And Lydia says, yep, that's fine. Daryl says, I'm sorry about your mom. Lydia says, she needed to die for me to survive. For all of us too. I hate the way it was done, but at least it's done. Daryl says, eat up. Daryl starts to walk away, but Lydia turns around and says, Daryl, I think after you guys get back, I'm going to move in with Negan. Daryl says, why is that? Lydia says, because Connie is probably going to be moving in here soon, and I don't want to be a burden. Daryl smirks a little. Daryl says, you aren't a burden. Daryl turns and walks away. Maggie and Negan. Negan is standing outside his cell. Maggie walks up to him. Maggie says, I have spoken to a few people about you. They say you cannot be. They say you can be trusted now. Negan says, does that mean I can come with you today? Maggie says, absolutely not. They stand there for a few seconds. Negan says, I'm so sorry for everything I did. If I could take it back, I would. Please understand that. Maggie says, if only you could. And then she walks away. The journey to Commonwealth. Maggie, Daryl, Carol, Connie, Kelly, Yumiko, Ezekiel, Magna, Aaron, Virgil, Mercer, Princess Eugene, Rosita, Gabriel all get on their horses. Diane opens the gate. Nabila walks up to Carol. Nabila says, I'm going to stay behind with Ezra, Judith, and the kids. Carol gets off her horse and hugs Nabila. Carol says, okay. And I'm so sorry, Nabila. Daryl says, if you need anything, just radio us. Judith, Negan, RJ, Gracie, Nabila, Alden, Luke, Jules, Diane, Cindy, and Rachel are all staying back in Alexandria. Cindy says, I'll see you later, but we'll wait to go back to Oceanside until you come back. Then we'll leave. Daryl says, okay. Ezekiel says, you're welcome whenever. Maggie moves the rein and the horse moves forward. They set off for the Commonwealth. All our characters riding the road with the soldiers and horses. And they're on their way to meet the Commonwealth. End of Season 10. So that's my version of the Season 10 finale, and I know this was a very long video, but it definitely had a lot of really, really cool moments in it. This was 37 pages long, so I'm surprised I got to read it as quick as I did. This video is about to be 30 minutes long if I don't shut up. So, anyways, yeah, let me know down below what you thought of this video. A lot of stuff happened for this finale. They found Rick was alive, Connie returned, Maggie returned, and a bunch of more stuff that I just don't even probably remember. Oh, Jerry died, we know that. Scott and Beatrice died. A few like smaller characters, but Jerry was the big one. He took Gabriel's death from the comic. But yeah, let me know what you thought of my Season 10 finale, right? Thanks for staying until the end. I'm going to be doing probably a giveaway soon. I just can't figure out what I want to give away. I've been redoing my room and everything over this quarantine, and it's starting to look really good. So yeah, this is actually just about to be my studio and my collection room. I'm actually moving and having an actual bedroom downstairs. So this is about to be really cool because there's not going to be a better dresser or anything. It's just going to be collectibles and all this cool stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. Let me know what other videos you want to see soon. Game of Thrones Season 8 rewrite will be coming out very soon after this, probably within the next week or two at most. And I'll see you guys next time.